Welcome back. In today's video we have a submission from Naka and it's about nice looking isometric pixel art scene. So let's jump into it and see what can be changed. First, I would like to say it looks great. I love the techniques that you've used, and to name a few, maybe a couple, let's say, if you look on the windows, you can see the detail is inside. People usually leave the glass in one color and use only maybe one tone for highlight or a reflection. So I have to say that this looks great. The fact that I can see the chairs inside, the tables, that's awesome. I love how it looks. Another technique that you've used, which I also like, is that if you look on the right side of this image, you have used the same tones on the left side, but you have shifted everything by one tone on the color palette. So for example, this color over here is the same color over here. So that's great. I love that you use it. So if I turn off the contiguous and use the magic wand tool, you can see that this is exactly what I'm talking about. So everything is shifted by one specific tone, which is great. Now let's talk about a couple of things that I think could be changed and improved upon. And the main thing I would say is inconsistency. For example, let me give you a couple of places. Do you see how you have this depth, or rather height, of this top portion of the building? You have indicated it here, you have also indicated it here, but for some reason it's not indicated here. So this is just like one little thing, but it's there. So we need to indicate that shape, so we need to be consistent everywhere. Similar thing would happen on the doors. For example, the doors don't indicate as much shadow, I would say, but if I look here at this indentation over here, if these doors are indented, which this shadow would slightly indicate, this one pixel line shadow would indicate, perhaps it should have been maybe like this. So I'm not sure if this is what you wanted to achieve. Also on the left side, it should probably something closer to this. And if this top portion is something that hangs over the doors, I would say that we could use the highlight, like here on these air conditioning units, to indicate this top plane. I would say the shadow, there will be some cast shadow here, so let's indicate it like that. And in case of this, maybe even like that. There we go. So we now have this top portion which hangs over the doors and casts some shadows. Now I'm not sure if this is what you were trying to achieve, so take it or leave it, basically. Most importantly, I would say there are some inconsistencies when it comes to shading. So in pixel art, in isometric pixel art specifically, we have three distinct sides. We have the top side, we have the left side and the right side, and we should always be consistent on which of these side is the brightest, darkest, and in the middle. In your case, these air conditioning units indicate that the top side will be the brightest, the right side will be the darkest, and the left side is going to be in the middle. This should be applied on the entire image, not just in one place. So for example, if I look in the back on these, I'm guessing like garbage disposal, perhaps maybe it's for the electricity, but I'm not sure. In any case, the top side and the left side are of the same tone. So the top side should be the brightest in this case. So we can take one brighter tone and indicate it like that. Also, these in the middle can be used like that. And there we go. So immediately we have more depth and we can read a lot better this specific unit. Similarly, if I look at the car, the top side isn't the brightest, but rather the left side. Again, this is your artistic preference. In case you wanted to emphasize some portions on the car, perhaps this was your intention. But otherwise, I would say keep it consistent. So the top side should be the brightest, the left side shouldn't be. Now, this car, I'm not familiar really with the model. I'm not really that good with cars, but I would say that, let's say there's a little bit of, let's say this should be like indicated by the top part, and these middle portions, I would say perhaps it's slightly angled, like the side of the car is perhaps slightly angled towards the top, so towards the roof. So maybe it's something like this. Now, again, I'm not sure about the car. I'm not an expert on this specific topic, so, but just take the basic concept and see how you can work around it. When I talk about the entire building, I also see that there are some inconsistencies. For example, can you see that the top side is the same as the left side? Specifically here. So this tone is the same as this one, even though this one is on the top side. Now, perhaps you wanted to make this specifically like that. In that case, there's nothing wrong. But then we have another issue. Where exactly is this highlight tone? So if I look here on the road, I can clearly see that the highlight edge of the highlight is where the top and left sides connect. So here, the top and left sides connect on these pixels, not on these ones. So I would say that the highlight should be on this side, not the other way around. Okay? So again, those are just small, tiny little things. It's nothing big, to be honest, but definitely something to keep in mind. Also here, do you see that, yes, everything is 2 pixels tall when it comes to this shadowed portion, but just as this portion of the building is hidden behind this front portion, just like that, we would have it hidden like that. Another thing, it would be, do you want to place perhaps highlight? Since it's already on these 2 portions, why isn't it also here? So let's place it like that. In that case, we have to remove the highlight here in the back. By the way, I also like that you've added some cast shadow from these letters. Good work with that. Perhaps you want to keep this edge in the shadow. That's all up to you. Do you want to add highlight also here in the back? So these are just plenty of tiny little things that will be up to you to decide. You can play around with these edges as all you want, so you can place it here and so on. As an alternative, as another option, you can simply place this entire top portion in one tone. So you can basically erase the edges like that and keep it like that. So in this case, it will be more consistent when it comes to the shading style, for example, on these air conditioning units. So that will be up to you. So it's all up to you how you want to play with it. Another thing I would say is the cast shadow. So if the light source is coming from the left, which is indicated by this drop shadow, I'm guessing this is some kind of a solar panel, I think, I'm not sure. But if this is the drop shadow of this object, it wouldn't be here on the left side, because this would indicate that the light source is somewhere here on the right side, here, and not on the left side where it actually is. So the drop shadow would actually go on this side over here, not there. Again, if this is some kind of a vent and this is actually like the interior of the building, in that case, you can ignore this portion, I would say. The chimney also indicated by this light source. I'm not sure that I would use dithering, because you haven't used dithering as a shading technique anywhere else in this entire image. So I would say just don't use it. It's just a type of style. And there we go. It's a bit more cleaner. If you wanted to emphasize the edge of this chimney in the back, you can certainly do so. There's nothing wrong with it, especially since though these broken edges are looking up, so essentially they would be the brightest. So maybe something like that. So these are just all of the things that you can play around with. As a last portion, I would say that, do you see how this portion of the building belongs to the right side of the building, and so it's the darkest. However, here it belongs to the left side. So in fact, we would actually have to shade it with this color instead of that tone. So again, this may be something that you don't want to do. So it will be up to you how you want to play around with it. So this is a bit more consistent when it comes to shading, but I would say personally that it looks better like this, simply because the roof itself looks a bit more cohesive. Overall, the image looks great. Just fix those few little inconsistencies when it comes to shading and you'll be good to go. So here we have the before and after. You can see that there's not a lot of changes going on. Those are tiny little changes, and I hope it helped. That would be all for this video. If you also want to submit, remember to post your pixel art on the Discord channel, and I hope to see you there. And remember, just relax, have fun.